I'd like to welcome everyone to the Moose Lake regular city council meeting for Wednesday, April 10th, 2019. I'd like to start with the pledge of allegiance, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First item is the agenda. Do you have any additions or changes? I'm going to make one movement. After the public comment, I'm going to move 6A up. This is for resolution 19-04-01 Carlton County Road Project. Any other items, changes? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Excuse me.
We didn't have
I
a
need a
motion.
motion first.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Under consent agenda, number 2, the minutes for March 13th. You have 2018 City Council regular meeting, 19?
Maybe. Yeah.
Make that correction, please. Any discussion or question on the minutes? Hearing none, do I have a motion to accept the minutes?
So moved.
And a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Under 2B, financial reports. Number 1, the city accounts payable for April 2019. Number 2, the city financial statements for March 2019. And number 3, the liquor store profit loss statement for March 2019. Any questions, discussion?
Just one thing, under general fund checks, I just want to clarify, 045063, we made a check out to Tony Grimm for the pipeline, which we voted on not paying for, but then we found out that it was actually a city issue, it was not there, so I just want the public to know that we're still standing by what we said we were going to do.
Thank you. Any other questions, discussion? Do I have a motion to accept the financial reports?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Number 3 is public comment. This time reserved for comments from the public on matters not listed on the agenda. Please keep this time to 3 minutes. You can go a little over. I know that you had called for an agenda item,
Oh, well,
but
thank
that's
you.
okay.
I'm Kathy Sheets. I'm with the Moose Lake Evangelical Covenant Church. And World Vision has asked churches if they would be willing to sponsor a 6K run. They had asked for May when the Moose Run is, and we decided we didn't want to compete with that. So we were looking at the Saturday before Father's Day, June 15th, to do a 6K run. I have a map here of a loop that would start at the depot and then loop around with the Sioux and the Moose Line Trail and come back and finish. All the proceeds go to raise money for water for people in the Congo. So I don't know what questions you have or.
So it's June 15th.
June 15th, Saturday, June 15th. We hadn't decided if it's 8 a.m. or 9 a.m., but leaning towards the 8 a.m. time for that.
Can I see the map just to
Yes,
see
absolutely.
how many road crossings are there?
There are a few. We have volunteers that would wear safety vests at all the street crossings. With the other option is to do an out and back on the Munger Sioux line, starting at the depot, going 1.85 miles out, and then turning around and coming back if the loop doesn't work.
There is actually a race in July that does that.
Okay,
And that way you're not
crossing,
crossing the major
Right.
roadways, and it's worked very well. They just have somebody
Okay.
at the very end saying this is where you turn around.
okay,
So Five Sisters puts that on in town if you want to talk to Jenny Moonen.
okay.
She'd be a good contact.
Yeah, I know her, yep.
It's so complicated when you come down Industrial Road, you're gonna be
Mhm.
crossing many roads, you know, businesses, homes,
Okay,
and the main highway there. I mean, that would be North Road, 73.
Yeah, this one crosses a few major areas, especially crossing the state highway in two different spots. Gets a little tricky. I think as far as the run goes,
mhm, okay.
that sounds great.
So if we do the out and back from starting at the depot, going 1.85 miles southwest on the Munger Sioux and turning right around and coming back, like you said, it,
Do they head south when you talk?
They
South.
actually, they go south and they end up down.
So they don't even cross the highway then?
No, they take the trail and then they shoot down to where our refuse center is and they turn back.
Because that would be,
okay,
then you have very little involvement from us. I mean,
Okay.
even crossing the highway, you're gonna start getting either the chief or the county involved, and it's gonna get a little bit bigger than just some volunteers.
okay,
So if you do it entirely on the trail, it's
okay,
no problem for us.
okay,
Okay, in Moose Run, they start at, down by the arena where you have all the parking,
right.
and they have the pavilion also right there.
Mhm.
Would that be a Saturday?
It would be a Saturday.
The farmer's market is already in there.
We were,
The depot's got all the
the
parking.
church,
Depot does, two depots, yeah.
and the church parking lot is a couple blocks from there.
Have you talked to the depot about using that parking area for the?
No, this was our first
Okay.
step, was to come here and see if we could go forward with the race, and then we'll talk to the depot.
And if something should come up where the depot can't do it, we will certainly be able to figure out something with the arena parking lot and the public
Okay.
works. They don't do anything anyways. So we can put a bunch of vehicles down there as well. So
Okay, great, well,
Not a
thank
big-
you.
I do have one question. Does the DNR need to be involved since it's a DNR trail and people are all down there?
Probably coordination should be made to,
We can contact them, that's not a problem.
Four-wheelers at that time, so I don't know what's all.
I would reach out to Jenny first, talk to her,
Right.
because if she's already done it, why reinvent it?
Yep, she'll know, okay, okay.
thank you.
thank you.
Sorry, can I make a comment on that? The DNR is planning on replacing that pipe at Mills Road, I believe.
At Mills Road?
Yeah, so is that part of their?
That's north.
That's
Okay.
north. Yeah, that's
So-
north. When are they planning on doing that?
I believe
though?
that's the summer, so.
We'll probably need to find out when, because that one will mess with the triathlon. Which is good, but we'll want to figure that out for the triathlon, so. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public comment? Hearing none. You can leave if you want to, you don't have to stay. Thank you.
Thanks, thank you very much.
Moving on to departmental reports. 4A Police Chief, Department report for March 9th through April 8th.
That, you're going to
Yes, sir.
say.
I did miss one. Sorry. 6A, resolution. This is on page 36 of the agenda. Resolution 14-04-01 Carlton County Road Project. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Janine Newman, and I'm the Carlton County Engineer. And we are planning on doing our final phase of the project on CSAH 10 this summer, which is the striping. And as MnDOT requires, because the CSAH 10 falls inside the Moose Lake city limits, we are required to get a resolution from the city of Moose Lake approving those plans. And so I'm here to ask you today to pass this resolution. Do you guys have any questions about the project?
Council, anything?
Not that it has any bearing on the resolution,
No.
but is there going to be a crosswalk at the school
There
crossing
is,
over to
we
that
put,
neighborhood?
yes, we put one in late last fall,
Okay.
and that one, it'll get replaced with the permanent markings this year.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
What a radar sweeper.
That is not in the budget.
All right, any questions from the council? Do we have a motion to accept resolution 19-04-01?
So moved.
Second, okay. Any further questions? If none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
She was looking at
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Just a couple things this month. Yesterday we had our mandatory training. We take 2 days every year and get all of our mandated stuff done that's mandated by the post board. Yesterday we did hazmat, bloodborne pathogens, defensive tactics, and firearms qualifications. It was a full day. Went very well. Also had the new county attorney come down yesterday and just talk to her about what her expectations of us and any feedback that we have for her. So far it's going very well with the new county attorney. We're very pleased with the office. Working on Mugs and Hugs. We have a date scheduled for Saturday, May 25th at the fire hall. I don't believe they have an actual time hammered down, but usually it's around 10 to 1. And as soon as I get that information, I'll disseminate it.
They said it was 10 to noon last night at the
10 to
fire
noon?
district meeting.
Right around that time frame. So thank you. Going to be going to the annual Chiefs Conference next week in St. Cloud. And Officer Magins is going to be having a booth at the Fond du Lac Community College Job Fair. He asked if he could do that and represent the police department. That was a great idea. So, the other thing I wanted to bring up is that yesterday one of our portable radios broke. Pretty much the on-off switch froze, so you can't move it. We bought these radios about 7 years ago on a NLAG grant. No cost to the city, but pretty much everybody in the whole region got new radios. When we bought them, they said there's about a 10-year lifespan on them. I think we're near 8 on them. And Motorola says that they are not going to support fixing any of the new radios because they're not making parts for them anymore. When we bought these radios, they're approximately $2,500. Now the price tag is about $5,000 for portable radios. Sticker shock for sure. I found it out today and I'm like, wow, that's a lot of money. Very needed tool. I was able to bring the radio up to the Motorola shop in Superior. They thought they could fix it. They thought they had some old parts on hand. So that's a good thing. If they can't, it's something we're gonna have to look at. I know Tim and I have talked about this last year, getting this in the budget cycle, maybe looking at buying one radio a year type of thing. But if they're working, they're working. If they're not, they're not. So it's something that should we or shouldn't we? As long as they're working, should we wait till they fail and then replace them, or I don't know. It's still kind of open for discussion, but they are starting to fail. So it's just starting to something to keep in mind that we are going to have to look at replacing them if we do one at a time, or wait till they go. So that's about all I have.
Chief, how many of those units do you have?
6.
6 of them. And they recommend, or the old ones they gave about a 10-year life.
10-year life, yeah, and we're getting down to the end of that. There may
All
be
of ours were bought at the same time.
all fire department, the same thing. And the fire department has a lot more than we do.
Yes. No question. Has there been any discussion with the sheriff and and or the Cloquet Police Department of when they're planning on upgrading radios. So possibly a big grant for local.
Yeah, we have discussed it. I don't believe there's gonna be any more grants for it. Both Fond du Lac and Cloquet has been purchasing radios. I talked to Cloquet today and Dylan Bridges from the county. And they have been buying them, replacing them. I don't think in a mass, but
And Fond du Lac had a $1 million grant for equipment. They might possibly have one that laying around there as well. We could reach out, talk to them.
well, I can certainly ask. I don't know if they'll go in or not. Yeah, I'll certainly keep my eyes open for any grants too that we can look to help pay for it. Very valuable tool, communication is the absolute key for any emergency situation. It's something we carry with us and use every day.
I think we need to have a discussion this year before the budget is set in the fall. And of course, then it fails in the summer, we have to replace it. We gotta have communication, so I think definitely we gotta have a discussion on it.
And it's something, if one goes down, we still have 5. So I mean, it's not like a squad car, if one goes down, we're gonna be walking. You know, it's something that we have some extras, but it's something we need to look at replacing.
Great. Any questions for the chief? So I had another 175 calls, items. That's a lot.
Getting busy again, so.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Pass that on, thanks. Public Works Superintendent?
Mr. Mayor, members of council, since we don't do anything, here we go. No, I'm just kidding. Water department, I should say that, I should back up a little bit. We had a real busy month. We went from plowing snow to gorgeous weather and pothole filling and cleaning up, and now here we're gonna snap our fingers and it's gonna snow for tonight, so yay. Water department, distributed 4.3 million gallons of drinking water in the month of March. We had a water break on Sioux Hill in the 600 block, just down the hill from the Covenant Church. Last week, it was a shame to put a hole in the new road, but that's just the way it goes. So, hydrant flushing is scheduled for the 6th of May. We're gonna, in your notes for our engineer meeting, you can see we discussed with engineers to continue to do some flow testing with some of their staff, and we're gonna work back and forth to finish up some of that water model stuff. Sewer department, we collected 14.5 million gallons of wastewater. Ponds are getting full. We're looking at doing a discharge here anytime. Pulled pre-samples here yesterday, so we're moving right along there. Our flow meter calibrations, they're scheduled for May. Our lift station calibrations, they're complete. They were completed last week. Cleaning all the lift stations, that's going to be scheduled for May, depending on your guys' approval on some stuff coming up later on in the meeting. Frozen water and sewer line policy. Yeah, I know it's 60 degrees outside some days here, but frost is still in the ground. It was below the water main on Sioux Hill here last week, so it's still cold. Water's still freezing, so continue to monitor your water temps, and we should see some relief on that with some rising temps here next couple weeks. Street department, pothole filling like crazy, on and off as needed, and then the streets are scheduled to be swept at the beginning of May as well. So the beginning of May is going to be very busy for us. Any questions? Go ahead.
You know, when we have to do stuff on 73, do they come behind then and finish the patching? We just have to do a rough patch, right?
Yep, so we have to do a rough patch, and then we also are mandated to do a permanent patch. So the patch you see up there right now is just temporary.
So we have to do it.
Correct, correct. And that is scheduled when the blacktop plants will open up here later in May. We'll have that done. We'll probably have a couple other holes up there to patch by that as well, unfortunately. But any other questions before I move on here? No? Okay. I would like to change testing laboratories. We have, right now we've been using Pace out of Virginia. They're a good company. I would like to go with R&B Environmental Laboratories. They're a Hibbing. The pricing is about the same. A couple of samples we pull twice a year, they're a little cheaper.
Pricing is not the big deal. The pickup and the courier service, that's the big deal. They, every time Pace comes down here to pick up a sample, they charge us $30. RMB's pricing is $15 a piece, which doesn't sound like much, yeah, $15 savings, but if you think about it during the busy months, we're picking up between 9 and 15 times a month. I mean, you're looking at possibly anywhere between $800 and $900 of savings a year. Their online portal, which is what I use a lot for reporting to the state, I've seen the rough draft of it, just their draft is nicer than what I'm working with now. Pricing is the same for the most part. I mean, it's within $1 or $2. Some of them, they're a little higher, some they're a little cheaper. But we're gonna save a lot of money by going with the courier service through them. Also gonna, they allow pickups Tuesday through Friday. Right now, I have pickups on Tuesday and Thursday, so it gives us a lot more flexibility. I think, like Tim mentioned, we need approval to switch companies. I don't know what you guys' opinions are on that, what you guys think. I think we're gonna save money if we do this. I think it's gonna be easier on us, on our department. It's gonna offer us more opportunities. I think it's gonna be a good switch if we can do it.
We don't need a motion, we just need consensus on.
No, we need
We need a motion. Were they hired on a motion?
We've used them for years.
Years?
I have no idea, but.
All right, well, I'll open it up for discussion and a motion.
What was the name of the company?
R&B Environmental Laboratories.
Well, I'm definitely for saving some money. It's- If you're happy with your company, I think you know what you're talking about.
I would agree that you're the one, the expert that knows what you need, and I would support making a motion to switch to R&B Environmental Laboratories.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any further questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, one other thing I would like to do, all our samples that go to Pace goes to Virginia. These samples now will be going to Hibbing, which is totally fine. When we have a couple instances a year, which we have had 2 last year, I think we had 2 the year before, where we have like a release or a spill, the lift station goes down or something like that. Pace has a remote office in Booth that I have just ran samples up there, dump them off quick and agree when you need to get these in a time. I mean, if you pull a sample, you need to have it into the lab within like 14 hours or something. I would like to continue our account with Pace. I'd like to keep it open to be able to have that option in case that happens. There's nothing saying we can't use 2 different companies. There's nothing saying we can't have 2 different accounts with companies. I would like R&B to take over our majority and then leave that option for us in case of emergency to allow it for operator ease and just more options for us if we need. So as long as you guys are all okay with that.
That one, we don't need a motion, you can invite.
Fair enough?
Is there a cost just to keep them as a,
Not that I'm aware of, there's not, no. If there, I will find out if there is, and if there is, I'll get back to you.
They don't bill
if
us,
we don't, then?
they only
yeah.
bill us for what tests we
Okay.
perform.
The consensus?
Yeah.
Yes.
Any questions? No?
Thank you. Pass it on, will you please? Thanks. Technology/library report. Library? Yes, with the technology.
I don't know, I'm sorry, I don't have, the library minutes are later in the packet. Other than that, I don't think I have anything. Well, oh, for technology? No. Was there anything?
Yeah, I'm going to ask Rory to come out and kind of give us an update on technology.
Was there anything from the library meeting that?
No, not that comes to mind.
Yeah.
Since I've been involved now with the cable, let me shut that, that's gonna bother me hearing myself delayed there. I pulled company AVI back into the picture for the city of Moose Lake. They're a company that specializes in broadcast equipment and things. So what we're looking at is trying to get our system up to date. Right now, we're using a 5-disc player for playing our content, which they weren't even made probably 12 years ago was the newest ones. Anybody that's looking for a used 5-disc player that doesn't work anymore, we got 2 stacked on the floor in there, and they last about 2 to 3 months for us right now on a 24/7 system. So we're looking at pretty much all the small stations now are using an electronic upload kind of format, just like you would upload to Facebook or YouTube, where we'd be able to have a scheduling system electronically, so we could have programming. Right now we can have up to 5 programs that just keep playing over and over all day long. On that kind of system, we can program in all kinds of content. It can change every day. We can bring some things in that, you know, would have been nice programs from a year or 2 ago or whatever. So the flexibility is going to be really be there. You know, that does come with a chunk of change, but what AVI is putting together, they looked at the equipment that we've got here, and they're looking at what we would need to move into that next system, and they're supposed to be getting back to us here. Hopefully we can have that all together, so for budget for next year that we would be set to be able to roll on that system. The other thing that we've been doing is the other part of that system, if as we phase into that, is we'd be able to have like video on demand. So like all the council meetings, everything could be housed on our server in a sense. So City of Moose Lake would have kind of its own channel. The other thing that they've just added is we would also have a Roku TV channel and an Apple TV channel that's part of the system. So really what you're doing is expanding your outreach basically to everybody, and it would be a channel that would belong to the city, and they're adding that into their service without additional cost. So they're definitely kind of moving where technology is driving everything on that. The other thing is, which with the digital signage system, right now the system's working, but what we have is no longer supported either hardware or software. So we're hoping that works up until the first of the year also, because the same system, this Cablecast system that has the equipment to run the content, also has a messaging bulletin board system, part of that's called Carousel. And kind of the neat thing about that, you know, Bill Carlson had actually some really neat ideas before his time almost on a lot of that stuff. I mean, he had a TV studio at the school 40 years ago. Sad to say now that part has kind of dropped out of Moose Lake's curriculum, but I'm working on trying to get that, pushing that a little bit so that they can provide us content to be able to play on the stations too. But with the digital messaging system, we could have people that, I already talked to Scott at the school, who does their, if you've been at the new school, they've got kind of a digital signage system for in-house there, but they would be able to provide a slide for us to play on the system for the city. Other places, you know, Historical Society, Community Band, the hospital, chamber, you know, all those places would be able to just log right into our system and be able to provide changing content daily if they wanted to. So I think that's going to really enhance, and that would be just we would give them a login, so they would just log in and be able to do whatever if they needed, you know, they call them slides, but if they needed one slide, a couple slides, or whatever. So I think the capability of that system is something that Bill was kind of after with the system we have, but with the system we have, you would have to have dedicated kind of computers at each place to do that, whereas now we can do that even in a bigger scale. So I think, you know, like I say, I think the idea of kind of tying in the whole community is going to be a pretty cool thing that we're going to be able to do. Last thing is, I've been working with the school, Vicki Radzak, with the HAH program. She has interns during the summer. And what we're gonna do this summer is part of their job is gonna be shooting video on things in town, you know, be it, you know, maybe events, be it doing interviews with some of the old folks, you know, I mean, there's just tons of stuff out there that we're gonna try to get, you know, that editing would be part of that. Right now, eventually I'd like to have where the city would have an editing facility so that more involvement that we could get with this, that people could come in and do that. Right now, we don't have that, so I mean, all the editing I do at my home, but the school has some limited editing things, so we're gonna try to at least get those folks to be shooting some content so that we would have that available to be able to use in the future. So lots of good things happening. Like I say, hopefully AVI will get back to us and kind of give us recommendations of what we need to kind of bring us up to date with where technology is with the cable programming now. Any questions?
Yes. You said that remotely, like the school and churches and other people could put in content. Would you be then in charge of the oversight of that content?
Yeah, what it is that they would log in and I still would have to okay that. But what it would be is people that, you know, I mean, it won't be just public to do it, but like if you're the contact for community event, you would kind of know, you know, what the system, it's not a complicated system, like you say, it's pretty much anybody that's uploaded to YouTube or Facebook, I mean, and even with the digital bulletin board, kind of the same kind of thing, but I mean, we definitely would have people that are part of those groups, but yeah, they would log into a system that then would show up, you know, to mine as an administrator, so I could just okay it, but what the benefit would be is that right now it's, you know, anybody that wants to put content tries to email the city and leave a little thing, you know, some are sending digital things like the Historical Society now, Rose Coleman, who's a graphic person, that's her trade, does some wonderful stuff that she's involved as far as providing a nice, I think it's called a camera shot or camera something, but, you know, so she sets up some nice things, but the other one that Bill brought up, I don't know anybody that's, if you're on the Laker page on Facebook, but there's a gal that puts just a daily, here's the weather, here's what's happening in Moose Lake today. And that would be another cool one, you know, because I mean, just having that vibrant content, I think is where it's at, because I mean, if you have stuff on there, well, on anything on the internet, if you have a web page, anything, if everything is outdated, that turns people off right away, you know, so I mean, just, I mean, it'd be wide open to what you could have on there, you know.
The more we utilize this technology, the better, you know, to have the most locations for people to have access onto it.
Right.
Is a good way to go. You know, I think it all sounds pretty fascinating with this technology, and whatever you can do and get on there to improve it, you know, I'm all for that, behind that.
Yeah, and like I say, I mean, Bill had a lot of stuff been in the works, but things have changed so fast now that I think taking some of the ideas that he had, bringing it up to date to where we are now to make some of those same things happen, I think is where it's at, you know, versus trying to make that work what would have been good 5 years ago, because then you're 5 years old already, and anybody, you know, computers, cell phones, you know, I mean, anything that's 5 years is borderline. If you get something that's 10 years old, you know, think about a 10-year-old computer is pretty much hardly able to keep up with where, you know, where speeds are now. You know.
Things change real fast.
Oh, it's crazy, but see, at least with a system like this, and what I, you know, once we get to that, I would definitely recommend having AVI be there as a support. You know, you can pay them an annual fee to kind of keep us on top of things, because on all that system, software is going to always need to be updated just like anything else, but at least we'll have a system. You know, because when I told him, I said, he said, well, what kind of system are you using now? I said, well, where you got a 5-disc player, you know, on there. He started laughing. He's like, you gotta be kidding me, you know. And I said, well, I mean, it's worked for what it is, but it is pretty antique, really.
Thanks, Roy.
Yep.
Appreciate that. We have a handout, I'm just gonna go over. This is something Bill put together just to help Tim, and for your information, he's calling this a moose horn, make my day. If you go to the back, they'll put a note on here, add the following items to the Moose Lake City Council 2019 bucket list, salvage what you can, prepare for new beginning in 2020. He has a note, the joint powers agreement was entered into by the city, the Township Moose Lake, the Township Windermere. This allowed MediaCom to use their right of ways. In ordinance 111B, the city has been delegated the authority to act on behalf in cable television matters, just so that you all know all this is totally legitimate and moving forward. Number one, 2019 cable franchise fee should be used to benefit the cable viewers of the three parties. Number two, rules of operation should be revisited as they control the content of community access cable channels. This is in the ordinance. Section 6.4 access rules. Number three, complete the periodic review, section 12.7, to include a free internet drop in section 2.12 cable modem service, linking the city's NOC, this is in fact our system, and the Moose Lake Area Historical Society Event Center. This internet connection will be used exclusively for the community access channel. Number four, finish what was started at the Historical Society Museum and Sioux Line Event Center, a local source of content that can be displayed on the community access channels. 5, ask for community volunteers to serve as friends of Moosehorn. This is in section 12.8, Citizens Advisory Board. Number 6, public access coordinator Rory Buckwitz needs to know this information before he begins preparing for the final 10 years of ordinance 111B. The hardest question ABI will ask is, what does the community want, and will the new community-wide signage system be able to deliver on this promise? We tried to formulate that form, the Citizen Advisory Board. We advertised extensively, and that was, excuse me, last year and the year before. And I'd like to try to advertise again with Rory's new into the position, and with all the stuff that's going on, at the appropriate time to try to formulate this Citizen Advisory Board again. I don't know if we'll get the volunteers we asked before, but we didn't get them, but I'd like to put it out. He has contacted a lot of people in the community, so he may have generated some interest in the different businesses like the school and historical and in the hospital and so on that he's talked to. So just information for the council. And I think with Tim and I and Rory working on this, I'm so happy Tim's on board. We'd like to advertise for that again. Does the council have any questions or discussion? Thank you. Moving on. I think we have the city engineer, 4D.
The only thing that's not on the agenda that I wasn't sure if we talked about yet, did we talk about that we submitted the grant to the DNR for the trail? 100, I think it's 150. If we didn't, we submitted a grant to the DNR for the local trails for $150,000 to go along with the 610 and the 300,000 that we got from Safe Routes to School. We should hear back on that one in probably July. Other than that, most of what is in the minutes we'll talk about tonight.
Did you have anything else for the city for
They're
later
6C.
on?
We're on the agenda later, otherwise if you have questions on our minutes, we can certainly answer them.
I got a question. When did you submit that for the DNR?
due at the end of the month, so when we submitted ours a week early.
Yeah, a couple of weeks ago, a couple of weeks ago. They're all kind of running together now.
Well, we submitted ours on the 20th.
Are there any other
or 2nd.
any other
Before I left.
deals we're looking at?
After the DNR grant, we will be talking with more local partnerships, not grants.
That's nice to know. Thank you. Moving on to 4E, Chamber of Commerce updates. Lois, thank you for being here.
Yeah, the calendar for the chamber and other events in the community is starting to get busy now as we're heading into spring. The Moose Run is May 4th. It's put on by a committee. It's not a chamber event, but it's on the chamber calendar. And before that is Easter egg hunt. That's put on by the Kiwanis. That'll be April 20th on Saturday, the day before Easter, at 10 o'clock at the school, Moose Lake School. And May 18th is a community business expo from 9 to 1 p.m. And, you know, you can have businesses there or even the nonprofit organizations. They've made a special deal for nonprofits that they can have a table for $25. They'll be at Riverside Arena from 9 to 1 p.m. So contact the chamber office if you'd like a table. And there's a meeting tomorrow at Docks at noon, so anybody that can get there, hopefully the weather won't be too bad. It's not going to be canceled, so.
Very good.
Any questions?
I'm just Dusty back there. We heard you're leaving us, the chamber.
Yes.
Is there a set date that you're going to be gone?
Officially May 1st, but depending on a replacement, I'll just keep helping until that person's ready to go.
Okay, well, I want to take the opportunity to thank you on behalf of the city for a job well done, and thank you for the support of the community all these years. You've done a great job.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
We're
I
good, Miss
agree.
Dusty.
You did a really good job down there. You put in a lot of time, a lot of effort. It's different now that you've taken over. It's better.
Thank you, Lois. Thank you, Dusty. Number 5, previously discussed business. This is the 2018 flood. Anything new?
Yeah, just real quick, we received the money already. We received reimbursement for the Class 5 that we had spent the money last year. So we've been reimbursed for that, and then we also received money prior to doing the work on the catch basins, which we have quotes in our packet tonight. So we'll be moving forward on that as well, and hopefully wrapping up that work pretty quick.
That's very good. This may disappear by next month.
We'll see.
And close. Thank you. Any questions by the council? Number 6, new business. So we did 6A, we'll move on to 6B, the Moose Lake Brewery concerts. We have some guests here tonight. This afternoon, I should say.
Hi everyone, my name is Dusty Wilson. I'm one of the owners of Moose Lake Brewing, and this is Jeff Arnovich. I'm with Swam Entertainment out of Duluth, Minnesota. So we just want to make sure that everything was on the same page for the concert that we have coming up on Saturday, May 4th, with Chris Hockey as the headliner at Riverside Arena. And just wanted to make sure everything was okay on the city's end of things leading up to it.
They don't know what you're talking about yet either, so
Okay.
maybe I'll just lead into it then. In the past, any event within the city limits that was going to have alcohol served, the municipal liquor store would be at and generally speaking would be the sole provider of alcohol. The way that these concert series, my understanding, and I could be, if there's something I'm wrong, please correct me, but my understanding of these concerts is the way to keep ticket prices low is the provider of these concerts is also the one that sells and keeps the revenue from selling alcohol. So if we move forward with these concerts, the Muni would not go to the concerts, would not sell, and would not receive income from selling alcohol. So the first thing that I will say is, when this first came up, my thought was this. We're only talking about 3 concerts?
3 to 4. I mean, there's 3, I guess, in theory, already committed. There's a 4th that we're working on other acts. So.
Okay, so there's a few concerts per year. The goal would be to have these be larger concerts where a larger number of people are coming into the community at one time, rather than maybe some of the smaller bands that we've had in the past where we have served alcohol. The other hope is that people would come either before, stay after, stay at hotels, come down for eating, things like that. We would find ways to get some revenue into the community outside of just selling alcohol at these events. But the big thing is that this would certainly be a change from the way that we have done things in the past. So the 2 things that I let the brewery know ahead of time was they needed to make sure that the dates were okay down at the arena, which it sounds like they are. The second piece is that the city council will need to approve basically doing things differently than we've done before. It's actually been kind of a hard and fast rule to do it the other way, which is that we sell alcohol at events. So I do think that for a couple of events, I think that this could be worth it. I did talk to Elaine. Obviously, it's nice for the liquor store to be able to be at these events and sell alcohol. It didn't sound like she thought that this would be the end of the world. She also agreed that people would probably stop by before or after to try to get a drink. One of the things that I do want to make sure is the brewery selling alcohol at the event?
That was, so, and I'll try not to make this long, just so you know, myself and my business partners, we're based out of Duluth, but this is part of what we do. We put concerts on from Amsoil Arena to small clubs, from Minneapolis to Hinckley to Duluth. Within our business, our 4 business partners, we worked with Sean and his crew to develop a 50-50 partnership. Part of that really was based on an idea that this is how it needs to happen in order to do this. When it comes to revenue sharing and things, I get it, it's difficult. We have a business partner who has a liquor license, owns an establishment, so that allows him to apply and get a state license, right? So he could come into Moose Lake and do it no different than he's done for us in Minneapolis or wherever. These are licensed, professional bartenders, all the way down, but it is part of our business model, right down to the fact that we also have a partner who handles the food side of things at most of our shows, owns a federal processing plant. So it is a business model. What our 2 groups had envisioned was exactly what he said. We wanted to create a summer concert series. Our original hope was to run 1 a month from that May through September timeframe. We had to make it work with current schedules, with the things that are already working there. This was a trial this year. Chris Hockey is a regional performer. Nobody knows who Chris Hockey is, but he's on KFAN in the morning in Minneapolis. But our ultimate goal, assuming that we can make this work, is that I will start bringing some national acts in.
you know, they need to be monetarily make sense for a market this size, but that's what we do as a business model. So when we entered into this agreement, we were under the impression that I think all the ducks were in a row. Perhaps, maybe shame on us, I guess we'll find out. So we negotiated the band with the sheer cost of doing something. You know, this is not a $750 concert at the corner bar. This is a $15,000, $18,000 venture for us. We built that model based on the fact that we believed the liquor was gonna be okay to bring in our partner, our vendor. Sean's gonna sell the beer. We're gonna take care of the liquor and domestic beer, let's just call it, right? So this was a shock to us if something's about to change because we financially built this knowing that there was a per head return when we did this. And if you do the math, we kept the ticket price at $15 to cover about an $18,000 show. It takes a lot of bodies if one of our revenue streams has disappeared. So I guess that's it kind of in a nutshell.
So let me just ask this one more time. Is the brewery selling beer at the
Yes.
concert?
Yes.
Okay, so as far as that goes, that is,
You know what? Let me restate that. Is he? I think we are buying the beer from him. I think legally under the liquor license, we have to do that. He has a distributor license, so we can purchase it from him. But correct me if I'm wrong, right? We're buying the beer from you.
Yeah.
So we are, yeah, that's my mistake. That's right. Yeah, I apologize. Wasn't necessarily part of that part of it. I'm the talent buyer, so.
sure, sure.
What are you thinking? I'm gonna ask Bryce a question. Bryce, do you see any problems or anything?
How many people are you thinking?
Thinking or hoping? We budgeted on 750 people, but we're hoping for 1,000 or upwards. We don't know.
Do you have security?
Yes, we have bond and licensed security.
What does that entail?
Basically, our rule of thumb has always been for any of our productions is one for every 250 people. Outdoor venues will go 1 to every 500. So those will be all the way down from checking IDs and wristbanding to front of stage and walking floor. So a standard setup for a concert like we would do, like I say, anywhere. So.
I guess I got just a couple of questions. You take care of all the toilets and all that would have to be done. And did you check with Kyle on occupancy of that arena?
I forget the exact, if it's posted anywhere.
I'm sure that it's posted somewhere, but so I don't know
Yeah,
what
it
it
has
is.
to be posted. Something needs to be checked.
They had all that, when Whiskey River performed, they had over 1,000 people in that building, so.
Well, there's no way that at Agate days that there wasn't 1,000 people that were.
So, if
I don't, those are things that just hit my mind.
Based on the space, and we walked the space, and based on what we've done in the past, that space, I think if you actually got the math figured out, occupancy standing room is about 2,500. We did the math when we were there, knowing what's stage size, 40 by 60, subtracting, blah, blah, blah. So, would I love to have 2,500? I think we all would love to have that type of show in town here, but that's not necessarily where we're at in year one.
Sure.
That would be the vision as we go forward.
Okay. I think this is what I will say, and then I'll probably be done, and then it can be up to you. I think that this is a good thing, a good new venture for Moose Lake to be going down, having larger concerts, coming to Moose Lake, bringing more people. That being said, there are a few instances over the last And it's kind of gotten bad because it hasn't been that long, the last 2 or 3 months, where things like this with the brewery have slipped through the cracks. Whether it's alcohol permits for special events, making sure that one of the 2 requirements of this concert was met, which is to come talk to the city council because this is a different way of handling it. And the very, very basic premise of this was that if we're not selling, the brewery's not selling, and the reason is because you guys are selling, which that's fine. I would say if you guys approve to move forward with this concert, which I think that you should, I would also suggest that at least myself and somebody else from the city council maybe sit down and talk about a few things with the brewery moving forward. And we can, if you have questions about what those would be, I would say give me a call or email.
Council,
My only
discussion?
comment is this, is that the residual effect of what they're bringing in is going to far outweigh those concerns of the brewery going 100 miles an hour.
I agree.
I would say keep your foot on the gas and don't take it off, because this is what we need in this community, so that's just my opinion.
Anyone else? Do you have a set time when it would stop? You know, the time? Like, I don't know, start at 6, 7, 8, does it go to midnight? Does it
No,
go to
5. I believe it's doors at 5, and I believe it's 10:30. But it
Okay.
could be 10.
Gotcha.
Yeah, we weren't looking, we're not looking for the nightclub
Good.
going the other direction either, so, yeah. Some of us want to go to bed right then.
Okay.
I'm in the wrong business for that, but.
Council, any further discussion?
I guess I too believe that this is good for the community. We need to have these types of things brought in to create revenue for all businesses. However, I guess I hear some concerns with you, and I would agree that maybe we need to sit down with the brewery and discuss how things go prior to making the arrangements. But I would be in support of this venture.
Are you looking for a motion?
I am, because this is definitely different than the way that we've done things in the past. And the motions should be specific to this, maybe just this year's concert series, because I think you guys have them planned out a little bit for this year.
Yeah, you're typically working months and months in
Yeah,
advance.
so I don't want to do this again in another month or in another month. I do want you guys to, have the freedom to move forward with this stuff. But also, I don't necessarily want it to be a wide open thing that this is just okay for any event in the future as well. So it would just be specific to these concerts that they're planning.
So you're looking for up to 4 for 2019?
Now, a fifth event may not necessarily be concert driven. We don't know for sure what that could be, but we've done things we're doing things like, we're doing Brat Festival. I know that sounds kind of goofy, but we're taking all the local breweries and they're able to take their recipe, put it in a brat, and do an event like that. We're doing bags, which I know they do anyways. I mean, we're not necessarily strictly focusing on the concerts as the sole only thing. We'd like to create these days to be eventually all encompassed, a noon to where there's craft fairs, whatever. The point is, it's not just about the concerts, but that's where we're at in stage 1. Or you gotta build it, you gotta walk before we can run. You need to make sure that ultimately the community can support it in order to do this.
And I would certainly say that the concerts bring something that justify us not being there. I do want to be careful that that's not saying that there's a blanket statement that in other events, I still think that it's valuable to have our liquor store be a part of it. I think there's reasons why communities have municipal liquor stores, and we can maybe have that conversation another day. I think approving it for the concert series is a good place to be for right now.
Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we support the Schwam Entertainment concert series for this summer, fall.
Call it Moose Lake Brewery, it's easier.
For this summer, fall series.
For 3 or 4 concerts.
Well, it's talking about.
Well, I said, yep, there's 3 on the books.
Okay.
There's a 4th one we're working on. I don't believe we'll get to 5, but
Okay.
I just wanted the flexibility in case
Okay.
George Strait says he wants to play here, right?
The up to 4 concerts, and if George Strait wants to come.
All right. Do you have that, Katie? You understand it?
If
Okay.
George Strait wants to come.
Then that's perfect.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any further questions, discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
When's Sean back in town?
Yeah, depending on.
It was supposed to be today, but his flight got canceled in Denver for a brewery's thing. So he's hoping we'll be here by the end of the week.
Okay, maybe have him give me a call when he gets back in town. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Moving on to 6C, the 2019 Street and Utility Capital Improvement Plan.
Mr. Mayor and council members, for those of you that don't know me, I'm Tyler Engdahl with SEH Engineering Company. I am currently the assistant city engineer for you guys. This isn't quite as exciting as a concert, but maybe for some of you. So I'm gonna just kind of give an overview of where we're at with the capital improvement plan that the city council approved us to complete back in September. Just as a reminder, the purpose of capital improvement plan is to identify, plan, and prioritize budget for projects, including pursuing and securing funding opportunities by using the report as backup. We sat down with city staff and went over the criteria that we wanted to cover with the report, including streets, sanitary sewer mains, and water mains. We did not include storm sewer with this because of the limited amount of storm sewer in the city and limited information about the storm sewer. So then we further discussed what kind of criteria that we wanted to base the report on with city staff, and I'll kind of go through that here as we go. I'll try and keep this short. So we started off collecting data from the city, collecting existing maps, computer files. Me and Phil completed a street drive-through of all the streets to look at surface condition of the streets. Then we compiled all that data, reviewed it, went back and forth with city staff on making sure everything was correct. And then we went into the analyzing part of the data and basically scoring the different parts of the infrastructure for the city. So all in all, higher scores mean worse infrastructure, low scores mean better infrastructure. So we started with the streets. Like I said, we completed the drive-through and we rated streets on surface condition. We rated them on drainage issues based on city knowledge. And then occupancy level based on number of residents on a street, and then traffic loading as well. So maybe downtown area gets more traffic than a dead end. So then based on those 4 criteria, we gave a higher number of points to the worst condition versus lower amount of points for better condition streets. Then we moved to sanitary sewer mains. We rated on pipe material, pipe size, pipe age, and then we had an additional rating based on importance of the pipe. So maybe there's a big interceptor main coming through downtown that collects the whole north part of the town and sends it to the treatment plant. Well, that pipe, it gets a higher rating just based on the importance. And then there's things like maintenance issues that Phil has to deal with on an annual basis in certain areas of town. So then again, you know, the poor materials and undersized pipes got higher ratings versus the pipes that were appropriately sized and newer. Then we moved on to water mains, and we did the same thing, looked at pipe material, pipe size, pipe age. We recently completed the water model study, which gave us some information on undersized pipes based on that to help give correct pressures and flows throughout the city. So we added additional points to undersized pipes based on that water model study. We gave additional ratings for areas with maintenance issues, and again, the importance factor of, well, this pipe's coming from the well, the city well, so that's obviously a more important pipe than maybe at the end of a dead-end street or something. So once we went through all the criteria of all those, we developed a project priority list. This list was completed by summing up all of the ratings based on those 3 infrastructure categories and all the criteria that we based them off of. And then we ranked those based on the highest total. So the reason that we do this is it's a helpful way to make sure that the projects are being prioritized and are including the infrastructure below the road and not just the road surface itself. So I think Tim sent you guys a draft report a couple weeks back. So in that report, we listed the top 20, I believe, that were listed on the priority list for you to review. A final list of all the streets and their ratings will be included with the final report as an attachment. But this was just included for discussion to see if there's any, areas of concern that the city has, or maybe switching around, prioritizing a little bit differently. So basically, next steps are going to be to incorporate some final data that we're missing. Phil just got me some maps the other day that we have to incorporate in there. And then finalizing that project priority list based on any other comments that the city might have. Assign estimated construction costs to the top 5 projects is what we discussed with the city, and include that in the report. Now all that information, like I said, will be in the report in case you want to go back and add projects a couple of years down the road and whatnot. And then just in the report itself, we had some recommendations on page 6. Things like, does the city want to make it available for public comment to maybe change any of the prioritization? And then there's some funding suggestions, like including assessment policies to help fund that. I know you guys have been talking about that in the past. And then just making sure to review it yearly and update it yearly. So then with that, we would finalize the report and suggest that the city adopts it for a guide to plan and prioritize for the future projects. So with that, if you guys have any questions, we can try and answer them.
So the big thing is, I think it's the third to last page. I'm looking at the email that I sent you guys, not the agenda packet, so I'm not sure which page we're on here. But the biggest thing that we need to know is this list is based very, very much sitting at a computer. Well, there was the driving, but sitting at a computer, not a lot of history with the city. Is there any changes with just knowledge of how the city works and operates? Any backstories that need to be included that maybe change things a little bit? one of the things that we did kind of towards the end here was the frozen service lines, which they put together kind of a plot map of all the different locations that Phil had, and it brought forward, there was 4 areas, right?
I believe so.
There was 4 areas where there was kind of a heavy concentration of frozen service lines, and those got some additional points. So any of that kind of extra information that we can bring forward and make sure that this is the best product possible, any insight from you guys makes it that much better. So is there any difference that you would like to see?
I'm impressed how you put it together. I like their suggestions right now. It's good data if you go back through all the things you looked at.
To me, I'd like to ask Phil that question, because Phil drives these streets every day. I mean, Bryce as well, and are they in agreement with this list as submitted on page 64?
I am. And you work with Phil every other week on this. So.
Yeah. I like the fact we took a look underneath the blacktop, because, let's face it, all the roads in town are rough. But if you could see what's actually under the ground, you see what we saw last Wednesday, it's way worse. So to look at the street as an entire project, including all the utilities, that was good. Very happy with it.
The other thing that I might add is Tim kind of was alluding to other things that you would provide input that we don't know. Is there an area that's ripe for development in Moose Lake that you think something might be coming down the pipe and suddenly that becomes a little higher priority? Or maybe there's a potential building that's going to get repurposed and become a high water user, or a high sewer user, or wherever the purpose might be, or a FedEx is going to come in and suddenly use the road, another 400 times a day than it's currently getting used. So if there's those kinds of things, that's the stuff that Tyler and I would never know without input from you. So those are the kinds of things we think about as we prioritize this, getting input.
And to Phil's point, there are 13 roads on here that are within 2 points of each other if we were to just look at road condition. And even under road condition, there was 4 different things to rank it on, and there's 13 roads within 2 points of each other. So it's important to know that this isn't just put together on my road is really rough to drive down, which it might be. It very well might be, but there are 13 roads that are just within 2 points of each other. They're all real rough to drive down. So when you add in sewer and water and all those extra things, that's what we're going for here. So if there's any changes, now's the time.
Otherwise, I think the ultimate plan here was to take that list of 20 and knock it down to the top 5, but estimates to it, as Tyler said, have that be your final report to move forward with for planning, but then you'll have the entire list of projects as an attachment. So if you want to look at what number 128 is, you can see what number 128 is still. So that gets into the annual updates of continuing to look if you got to reprioritize or reevaluate any of the streets or utilities. Then move on.
Just a suggestion. Instead of just the top 5, why don't we do like just the top 8, and we may only do 5, or we may only do 3, depending on budgeting. But I would like to see it go down just a little bit farther than the top 5, just for our knowledge, because we may think to switch one of those 8 up, or one of the, I don't know.
And that's up to you. I mean, we ran, I don't want to say ran, we picked 5 in a meeting, but it can be 8, it can be 10, it can be.
Yeah, I'd like to see just a little more than 5, just for our knowledge, and a little bit more flexibility in case the council wants to look at something more.
Well, if there's streets that are close together as well, you might pick up 1 and a 4 or something like that.
Yeah.
Or they work in conjunction.
Yeah.
The other thing that I will note as far as the cost estimates, we're not going to do a detailed one of 10 projects. We're going to use the last couple of projects we've done and apply like a per foot basis of street, water, sewer, storm. So we can kind of efficiently give you ideas of cost, but not actually walk down the street and look at every sidewalk panel and every valve and every other thing that might be on it. Just so you know how the, so that's why I say go from 5 to 10 isn't a big deal for us, because we're not gonna put that level of detail in the cost estimate.
Right. 8, okay, council, just a consensus, drop it a little bit more, yeah.
That's just a weird number, but let's do 10.
Yeah.
Well, I don't like that. You weren't looking for any motions or anything, just with consensus and
No,
little input?
We'll
and,
have the final report here in 2 months,
No, probably less than that, yeah.
month, next council meeting.
I think the next council meeting will be final and signed for you.
I think we were looking at maybe trying to have the assessment policy, a draft coming within the next month or 2 as well. So that's just kind of another piece to the puzzle here. So there will be more decisions coming on things like that. Okay.
Anything else from the council? Thank you. We'll move on to 6D water tower evaluation.
While we were evaluating the entire water system, we thought it would be a good idea to have the water tank evaluated as well. The outside we know is dirty, needs to be cleaned. We wanted to take a look at the inside, so they went and swam around in there. I'm not entirely sure how they actually do it, but they do inspect the inside to see if it's if the paint is peeling off or it's rusting through, or all of those kinds of things. The inside does need some work. The outside needs to get cleaned, not a huge deal. I will say this, it is something that we need to be aware of. It is not something that I'm saying that we need to do right now. I think that it could be something that we take a look at doing in conjunction with the well projects, just to tie it into that bond and kind of knock it out at the same time. It is an expensive project to undertake when you are doing the inside of a water tank. It's kind of a pain in the butt. So if we were to do it, I think tying it together with another project makes sense. I do not think it's something that we need to just jump on and start needing to have them start cranking out some sort of project. So if you do have any questions about it, none of it really actually makes sense to me other than what I just said. So you can ask them all the questions that you would like.
Just one question to you, Tim, real quick. Are you seeing all those different elements, kind of putting them under the well project?
Well, it kind of depends. If we get to the point here where my thought is that the well house project looks like it very well could be next year. If we move forward with the well house project next year, I would say it makes sense to tie this in with it. If we end up putting off the well house project for 2-3 years, I would say that we certainly want to clean the exterior of our water tank. I mean, it's getting pretty dingy. I would say if we had not done this and we didn't have a bigger water project coming up, I would say that we would just go get the water tower cleaned, the exterior of it cleaned now. But yes, I'm saying so long as we're moving forward with the well house project, yes, all of the components would be tied together with that larger project.
Tim, can I just add one thing, and everything Tim said there is true, but just for an understanding, we look at the exterior and the interior separately. The exterior of your tank was built in 03, so you're getting close to the end of your the life of your paint. Right now, it's actually still in good shape. As Tim said, the biggest thing, it needs a cleaning, but it's still a good candidate right now for an overcoat in lieu of a complete sandblast. If you do an overcoat, it's quite a bit cheaper. You get, 8, 10, it can be as much as 15 years out of an overcoat. But at some point, you lose the ability to do an overcoat. And I can't tell you if it's next year, if it's 5 years from now, because you do an annual inspection on that. But that's just something to keep in mind, and Tim's right, doing anything this year is not, we're not at that point. The interior wet is actually the worst part where the water is sitting. That's the worst part of your whole tank. And so if you were to do a project, I would be suggesting that that's going to be the first. Obviously, you'd probably do everything at once, but that's the worst part of your tank and the one that's going to need attention the quickest. The interior dry, the areas you walk into, also at the end of their useful life, but not as much of a concern as they don't come into contact with the water that you're all drinking. So I just wanted to give that quick explanation.
Council, any questions? What's the next step?
The next step for this, I would say, really isn't anything. We need to, this spring, we're waiting to, basically we need to open up a bunch of hydrants and test all the pressure reducing valves that we have that don't work, as well as the booster station, to see if we need the booster station. Once those components are done, we're pretty set on moving forward with the design work for the new well house. The pumps, the design of the building, any chemical feed stuff that we need to, all of that can start moving forward, and we'll really be able to decide if next year we're going to move forward with the well house project or not.
Okay. Just one real question. On the exterior of the tank, is that like a lichen or moss or something growing? It looks like more than just dirt.
It's mold.
It's mold?
Yep, that's what happens on the underside of those tanks.
Yeah.
Yours, along with every other one you see when you drive along the highway. So if it's just mold, you hire basically a pressure washer to come in and clean it. I'm sure Phil's probably had to do that a time or two on that tank. But in your case, you're just getting to the point where you can still overcoat it if you wanted to and get a lot more life out of it, or a lot of communities.
I don't remember it ever being cleaned since 2003.
Oh,
ever.
maybe it hasn't then. Okay.
No, I don't remember.
You like heights, Phil?
What's that?
Do you like heights?
I've been up there a couple times. I'm not hanging on the end of it.
So yeah, that's very common. You see it on lots of water towers on the underside of the bowl.
Okay. All right, so more to come and more updates, I guess. So we're looking at a decision probably in June and July again with the streets and with this somewhat.
We could make a decision on street stuff right now if you wanted to do that main sewer line, but yeah, we can.
You're ready, huh?
Ben ready.
The main sewer line going down that alley, down behind the.
Yeah,
doing that.
yeah.
Yeah.
If you ever want to hear about that project, I got a lot.
That's enough. It's kind of a boring project, but it needs to be done.
I agree. I agree. I agree.
Yeah, I mean. Right on.
Okay. Thank you, Tyler.
Yeah, thank you. No other questions from the council? Thanks, gentlemen. 6E, mowing at cemeteries.
The two gentlemen that mow up at the cemeteries are no longer going to mow. Mark would like to continue to be the cemetery sexton and dig the graves, but they no longer can mow. My initial thought didn't really pan out, but still kind of the same plan is we have a couple guys that mow other areas throughout the town. I'm thinking the easiest thing to do is this year, instead of having two guys come back to mow as a seasonal position, we'll just have three guys under Phil There's a mower up there, all the equipment is good. The mower's there, right? Okay, so,
No, we have to get it from Mark.
we have to,
Mark has it, we have to get it from Mark.
well, we just have to get it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So we know where it is. So, we'll just add a third person to the mowing staff. That seems like the easiest way to go. Does that sound okay to everybody?
Yeah, I was gonna say it might be hard to find somebody to replace them.
Yeah. Yeah, the nice thing is that generally speaking, not to, it very well might take a full week to mow the cemeteries, but hopefully what will end up happening is it takes, say, 3.5 days, maybe 4, and then we have somebody like the other two that can help Phil and his crew out whenever, you know, there's a free minute or an emergency. It's kind of nice, especially in the summer, to have that staff have some flexibility, so it just kind of makes sense.
There's more work than just mowing. There's
Oh yeah, trimming, all
trimming,
kinds of stuff. Yep.
raking.
Yep.
Yeah. How about, one of their jobs that they did, if they found damaged headstones or ones that are sinking, whatever, they took care of that. They would pull it up, fill in. Are they gonna still do that, or will Phil's?
I don't think that Phil's staff would do that. I think I would still like to have a conversation with Mark. I didn't talk to Mark, so
Okay.
I'm not sure exactly what he's willing to do or not.
Okay.
Do we still have the CIP that rates and helps so?
A little. I think that Mark and George really tried to take care of pretty much everything.
That would be an option too.
Yeah.
I think that they used to rate there, that first one. Yeah.
They assisted with the one farther out also, when I think they reestablished that one area that was in another field where people had been buried, that didn't have family, yeah, Pottersville. I think they helped reestablish that and document it and take care of it. But since then, I don't think they've been back, but they did help out there.
Well, for like raking and stuff, that's a.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or bodies.
So you guys will be, sounds like, advertising shortly.
So usually the way that it's gone, at least since I've been here, and the way that I guess that I would prefer is, especially with the part-time, the seasonal type positions, if Phil can find somebody that knows a little bit about, you know, machinery, a little bit about water, a little bit about sewer, I'd like to just give him the freedom to kind of run with those seasonal positions. If that's all right with everybody.
Sounds good. I'd like to ask Katie on seasonal positions. Were you notified about lifeguards?
Barney came in last week asking for the old numbers.
Okay.
Or the phone numbers for the old lifeguards, so I gave those to him, yep.
Thank you. Moving on to 6F catch basin repair quotes, 2018 flood.
Page 87 and 88 are two quotes. Phil contacted 4 people. Two of them said they were interested and then ended up backing out. So we only received 2 quotes. Goval is the low. We also had an engineering estimate that was required that I think came in at 61, I want to say. So it's a little bit less than the engineer's estimate as well. This would all be covered by FEMA and Homeland Security. Yeah.
Need a motion?
Yes.
Make a motion to accept the low bid from Global Excavating for $51,685.
Do you have a second? Second. Any questions, discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Moving on to 6G, lift station cleaning quotes.
These next two items I'd just like to do annually. Lift station cleaning quotes, we have two, Wiki Wybanon, is that right? Did I hit that right? Something like that. And Great Lakes Pipe. Great Lakes Pipe is the lower estimate on this one.
I'll make a motion, we accept Great Lakes Pine service for the lift station cleaning.
Do I have a second? Second. Any questions, discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. 6H, ferric chloride quotes.
Same thing we did last year. The first one is kind of an email chain. That's from Hawkins. They came in at $1.33 per gallon. The second quote came in at $1.57 per gallon. My suggestion would be that we move forward with Hawkins. They did it last year as well, right? That went well. Yep. Last year was our first year. That was our second year last year, so yeah. Okay, so, and it's gone well with them? Very well. Okay, so they're the low bid and it's been going well, so I would suggest that we continue.
Make that motion to go with Hawkins Water Treatment Group at $1.33 per gallon.
Do I have a second? Second. Questions? I just got one. How was that used again?
That is injected up at the sewer ponds.
Part of the treatment.
To lower phosphorus. You gotta get to the phosphorus pool.
He thinks I don't know anything about our sewer ponds, just saying. You wanna know anything about the sewer ponds, just ask right here. We still won't go there.
I did ask for a second, right?
Yep.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. 6I, Sharon Goulart resignation. Did I pronounce that right? Gilead. Sharon Gilead resignation, DMV. And is there a letter?
There it is, page 94.
94. Tim City, Moose Lake, please accept this letter of notification that I will be leaving my position with the DMV. My last day will be 4/19/2019. Thank you for the opportunity to work for the city of Moose Lake, Sharon. Any news, discussion or anything on this is like essential things to leave or?
What?
There was a discussion at one point that one of the other two employees may be on leave, that she may come in. Anything at
I
all?
think Karen's on jury duty.
Right.
And so, but they'll just have, I think it's only until like May 4th or something.
So she is totally done on that day?
Correct.
Okay. So we need a motion to accept Sharon's resignation.
So moved.
Second? Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Question, are we going to advertise?
So we put it on Facebook, put it on the city's website. It'll be in the paper tomorrow. This weekend, next week. It'll be in the paper for 3 weeks, I think we said? 2
It'll
weeks?
be in- No, because the next, no.
No, we posted it total for 3 weeks.
Oh, I posted it, I think, on Friday, so, yeah.
So after 3 weeks, the posting will be done and we can review applications after that.
Very good.
And then if I can add one thing, one other, Linda Eckert helps out with Clarissa as a part-time gardener. And she is not going to come back this year, just due to some family stuff. So that's another sad one. They do such a great job. Clarissa's going to look for another part-time person to help fill out. That would be kind of another one. I don't know that I necessarily want to publish and interview and all that stuff. If anybody's interested, contact Clarissa, or Clarissa can get a hold of somebody, but I don't know enough about gardening to probably interview somebody.
She had talked to me, because I think you were out, but she had talked to me, and she wants to find somebody that would maybe want to eventually take her spot when she decides to not come back, so.
So they see you, Tim, or who do they see for this position?
The gardening one?
Yes.
They can certainly come to City Hall, and we can get them in touch with Clarissa. They can call City Hall or stop down. Yep.
I think when we hired Clarissa, we did do interviews for that.
Yeah, Clarissa's is a little
Yeah.
more involved. She does a lot of stuff.
I'm just saying if she's looking for somebody that's gonna eventually replace her, we might want to get part of it.
I would think at that point, we probably would advertise to when it's her, even no matter who she selects now or can. Take the opportunity to thank Sharon also for her work with us, and sorry to see her leaving. Do you need anything more, Kim, other than?
No.
Okay. Moving on to 6J liquor store position.
With the opening from Elaine moving up, we posted internally to fill that full-time position. We received one letter, it's in your packet on page 95, and I would recommend that we move forward with hiring her. We brought it forward to the liquor committee, and the recommendation was also to move forward with hiring her.
Open for discussion?
I'll make a motion first, if you don't mind, I'll accept her.
Do I have a second? Go ahead.
Go ahead. I'll second.
Open for discussion, questions? Hearing none? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. 6K Arbor Day proclamation.
This is just a part of, we are a Tree City USA, so each year the mayor does proclaim all of this stuff. Yeah. You don't need to.
Okay. Arbor Day, but we do celebrate it.
We do.
Do you want to say the date?
April 26, 2019.
I think, I can't remember if it was last year or if it was this year, but Clarissa has taken on, like, Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, and planted trees, tried to get kids involved and stuff around Arbor Day. So it is something that we do celebrate. It is something that we try to get the community involved with. So.
I'll read the very bottom.
All right, I do that.
In the city of Moose Lake, Minnesota, I urge all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day and to support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands. And further, I urge all citizens to plant trees to gladden the heart and promote the well-being of this and future generations.
As long as it's not in the right of way.
Dated. All right. Do I have a motion by the council for the Arbor Day proclamation? So moved. Have a second? Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. 6L liquor store LED lights quote.
This came up a couple months ago, and we brought it forward to the Water and Light Commission meeting just to try to gauge some interest, and it actually went really well, so now I'm bringing it forward here. There's two quotes in your packet, and it's to change all of the lights in the liquor store over to LED, including the coolers, interior, exterior lights. The Water and Light Board has not approved it yet, so you might, in the motion, you might want to make the motion pending the Water and Light Board's approval for paying for the actual LED lights. So Water and Light would pay for the lights, and then we would pay for the installation. This is kind of the same thing we did down at the arena. The arena was a little bit of a larger scale, but same premise. So basically, we would just need you guys to approve the total package, and then we would seek reimbursement from Water and Light.
I do have a question on the second quote.
Yes.
Because he hasn't itemized it out, because the other one says lamp disposal not included. Is this one included in it? Because it's not a huge difference, but that lamp disposal might be making a huge difference, so.
I don't really know what that means because I don't know if it's just like. these
Yeah, to get rid of
light bulbs,
these is not
but
like
we could
a,
bring them to Water and Light and they'll recycle them for free.
oh,
That's what we do with all of our dead ones, is I bring them over to Water and Light and they recycle them.
Well, they may not take them on the whole project. That's a question you want to ask them before you say.
we've brought over a lot.
I brought over boxes before.
Normally, they're supposed to, actually, any place that you buy them from, they're supposed to take.
Supposed to recycle them.
Oh,
I guess I'm just,
well, then I would say that it's not included in either of them then. I don't know why it would be.
I'm just asking.
Good question.
Yeah.
It's an expense.
Yeah, that's what I mean, and the prices aren't that different, so I wanted to know if this one included it or not included it,
About the
because.
second one? Yeah, but even the first one, the only difference between taking them away and not taking them away is not a cost, it's a convenience type thing.
Well, this one, it
Yeah,
indicates
Phil.
there'd be a charge, it says lamp disposal not. I take it as there'd be a charge, but I don't know.
I didn't know.
Talking $200 here. I will make a motion that we go with the cheapest one, which I believe is Region Air Light Power and Heating for $9,874.
Pending approval.
Pending approval from Moose Lake Water and Light.
Do I have a second?
Just
Second. I second.
Open for discussion, questions?
I guess I'd like to just know about the disposal of the lights.
But like we were just saying, that there isn't a cost to disposing of them.
Well, there is a cost, because he has to pick them, he has to deliver them.
Well, I'll take them and I'll bring them to Water and Light.
Yeah, that's what I mean, is no matter what, we can get rid of them then.
Yeah, we'll get rid of them.
We're gonna be saving thousands of dollars here on electricity.
Well, yeah,
And I get what you're saying.
that's, I'm just wondering with the quotes,
Yeah.
because,
I
you know,
get that.
they're so close that I just wanted to make sure that this one didn't.
Yeah, I get that. That's a good question that you asked.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Moving on to 6M Park Pavilion roof replacement quotes.
I think it was the last meeting that I had brought up that the bank, for their 100th anniversary, is looking at doing a number of projects. One of the projects that they're looking at doing is making some improvements down at the Park Pavilion. What I would hate to have happen is any improvements that are there, we have a roof that we know leaks. We know that it needs to be replaced. However, we didn't know that they were gonna be doing projects there, so we did not budget to replace the roof at the pavilion. It is something that the park board identified that would need to take place, but we did not budget to do so. We went out and got 3 quotes. The cheapest quote was Beaver Roofing. I do think that with the bank moving forward with their projects, and this is a project that we know that we will need to do at least within the next couple of years, I think that this is something that we could take out of reserves, pay for, it's a good project, and just do this year anyways. But it is something that I'm springing on you, so if you don't necessarily want to move forward with it and think about it, certainly that's your prerogative, but I do think that it's not a huge dollar amount, and I think it's an important project to move forward with.
I'll make a motion to accept the Beaver Roofing quote for the Moose Lake Park Pavilion roof.
Do I have a second? I'll second that.
Can I ask one thing? That would be, we did get, of the 3 quotes, 2 of them, we were able to get quotes for metal roofing versus shingle roofing. Is there any preference I think on Beaver would still be the lowest, it's just another $1,890
Well, 8865.
to do a metal roof rather than just the shingles.
I'd do the metal.
So I'll amend mine
If
to
we
metal
do-
shingles.
Well, that's up to you guys, I don't know.
If we do the metal, we gotta make sure we put on where the doors are, those cleats. So that, in winter, because they do use that in the winter for a couple events.
Oh, the snow break?
Right. I'm fine doing either way. It's up to the council, I guess. We do have a motion and a second. I think if we're gonna go to metal, we should state an amendment, because I think everyone was thinking that it was
Just
asphalt.
amended it.
Did you?
Did you amend it?
You are metal.
To metal?
Okay, so then, are
Do
you
we have
okay
a-
with still seconding it?
Oh, I'll second it.
Oh, okay,
Okay.
then we're still good.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. 6N, MLWSSD meeting, point of sale ordinance, and more immediate fix.
The mayor, the district requested a meeting with Phil, the mayor, and myself after they reached out to us. They were planning on televising service lines up in the Kenwood area, North Kenwood area. And when they reached out to us, they provided us with the quote that they had, and then also wanted us to basically get on board with televising lines on our side of the sewer main. I responded back to them originally with that we don't have an ordinance where if we did televise them, that we could force somebody to replace their sewer line. And then the second thing was that it was too expensive, so we weren't gonna do it anyways. So they requested that they meet with the mayor and Phil, so we went down there. The first thing that they really kind of tried to drive home is that they feel as though we need an ordinance that mandates that we can tell people to replace their service lines. There are kind of two trains of thought. One is the way that they do it is if they televise your line, they send you a letter that says you need to replace this within 90 days, I think they said. Was it 6 months? 6 months, you need to replace your line within 6 months. And bam, just like that, a homeowner needs to do it. That's kind of the more immediate fix. The way that I've seen it done with Duluth.
Duluth, Proctor.
No, what's the sewer district?
Oh,
WLSSD is the point of sale ordinance, which is when you sell your home, it gets inspected or televised, just like radon inspections, just like any other requirement. St. Louis County, Carleton County have requirements for inspecting mound systems, so it would be no different than that. So you would televise your line. If it needs to be replaced, that's a part of selling your home. So it would be done as a part of the sale. It's a lot easier to tie the cost of doing that into a 30-year mortgage than it is to tell somebody, hey, you got 6 months to figure this out, and if you don't, too bad. My thought would be that if we wanted to do something, we should move forward with a point of sale ordinance. I do not like the immediate, you need to fix this right now. That's not really our style, I don't think. Does that kind of sum up most of the meeting?
Could you have a point of sale type thing for the next meeting?
Yeah, yes.
So a couple of the other advantages of point of sale, if you go that route, is Tim's referring to is wrapping into a 30-year mortgage, but it's really between buyer and seller. And most of the time, it's going to be the seller that ends up paying for it, and it gets done before the sale is closed. Do you have in-house televising, Tim, or do you contract that out?
It would need to be contracted.
Okay, so then,
How much is just a little, could we do that?
Motion camera?
Yeah,
Go to one? Same old brand.
yeah, no.
so we have these in other communities, the city of Tower, also engineers. They only have a few home sales a year, so maybe 2 or 3 times a year, they send me a video. They contract it out, I review it. If it's clay or if it's got roots or anything else, it's a failure. I report it back to the city in a memo, and the city takes that back to the homeowner. Things to consider, I like Tim's idea of 6 months because if it's a fall, Phil does not want his road dug up in the middle of winter. So you would want to allow some allowance there for spring construction, so we have a bituminous plant open with a patch of road. The other thing that you would have to do, or I'd recommend you do, is get together with your local realtor company and lenders, because initially when these get implemented, they come to you 10 minutes before they're trying to close a deal, and then everyone's upset with you because the closing is not going to happen. So being proactive with your realtors and your lenders so they know this is now a requirement within your city, just so there's not surprises. Just a few other things to think about.
I'd have to really read the ordinance myself before I'd approve this. I'm not really favored either way. But I'd like to see the ordinance, so I understand.
Yeah, I'll probably prepare more of a sales pitch at the time that it comes up. I do think that it would benefit the city to have a point of sale ordinance. More so tonight, what I need to know is, do you want to go in that direction, or do you want to go in the direction of telling people that they would need to fix it right now, whether or not they're just, if we're out inspecting it and we find something that's wrong, we would tell you need to fix it within 6 months of right now.
Well, I'll ask the council kind of which direction. Are you more in favor of point of sale ordinance? Consensus?
Yes. Okay.
So Mayor?
Yes.
Well, I say one other thing, and I'm not here to promote it because it's not always the best thing, but the big picture here is I&I in your system. So we provided you a memo last meeting a month ago at the capacity of your ponds. So at some point you get to where you're either going to do pond expansion or you're going to start taking I&I out of your system. So the other reason communities are adopting this is the more that I&I you take out, the more capacity your system has, the less expansion of your ponds. So that's the theory there as to why you would want to implement this, but just to give you that background.
Yeah, we did talk about that, Tim and I. That was an issue in the meeting that we had with the sewer district.
Okay.
Do you have any other questions or items?
No.
Thanks, Chief. Moving on to 6O, move next council meeting to May 16th, the 2018 audit presentation.
I would very, very much request and prefer that we move the city council meeting back. We can't do Tuesday because there's the school referendum is here. Wednesday is the township meeting. Thursday works for the room basically, and it also works for our auditors to present the audit. So if possible, can we move the next city council meeting back a week into Thursday?
Do you need a motion? You just want
Yes,
consensus?
no, we need a motion.
You need a motion?
No, it'll be the 16th.
Next week to a Thursday. Thursday.
Back a week.
Moving it forward to the 16th.
You're moving it forward, not moving it back.
It's supposed to be on the 8th.
Yeah, it's supposed to be on the 8th.
We're moving it to the 16th.
In the future.
Yeah.
Let's just say in the
Yes, we're not
future.
moving
To
it
May
back.
16th.
Yes.
Yes, okay.
At what time,
that
4
works.
o'clock?
4 o'clock, yep.
Same time, same place?
Same time, same place.
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
So second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, and nothing, no more on the audit, okay. Number 7, reports and correspondence, I don't have any. Number 8, committee and board meeting minutes. 8A is the Moose Lake Power regular meeting minutes for February 19th, 2018. Should that be February 18? 19?
Yeah.
Probably 19. 8 with Lois, you're slipping. 8B, Moose Lake Fire District meeting minutes, March 14th, 2019. 8C, Moose Lake Parks and Recreational meeting minutes, April 1st, 2019. 8D, Moose Lake Public Library meeting minutes, April 8th, 2019. For your review, does anyone have any questions before I move on the minutes? Hearing none on announcements. Regular Moose Lake City Council meeting will be Thursday, May 16th.
Yep.
That is a Thursday. 4 p.m. right here. Moose Lake Economic Development Authority, Wednesday, April 8th, 12 p.m., excuse me. The City Conference Room, Moose Lake Water and Light Commission regular meeting, Tuesday, April 16th, 3 p.m., Water and Light. Moose Lake Housing and Redevelopment Authority Board, May 13th at 11 a.m. at the Hillside Manor office. Moose Lake Area Fire District, Tuesday, May 14th at 6:30 p.m. Emergency Response Center. Moose Lake Park Board meeting Monday, May 6th, 6:30 p.m. right here. And the Library Board meeting May 13th at 1 p.m. in the City Conference Room. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Adjourned. Thank you.